If you've ever looked up at the night sky and noticed the moon looking different from one night to the next, you're not alone. Sometimes it's a thin sliver, sometimes it's a glowing half circle, and sometimes it's a full, bright disk lighting up the entire sky. It almost feels like the moon is changing shape. So what's really happening? Today we're breaking down why the moon looks different throughout the month and answering the question, why does the moon change shape? Right here, on History of Simple Things. Here's the first big truth. The moon itself doesn't physically change shape. It's always a round, rocky sphere. What changes is how much of the moon's sunlit side we can see from Earth. The moon doesn't produce its own light. It shines because it reflects sunlight. As the moon moves around Earth, the angle between the sun, Earth, and moon changes. That changing angle is what creates the different phases we see. So when you see a crescent or a half moon, you're not seeing a broken moon. You're seeing a different portion of the same round moon lit up by the sun. The moon takes about 29.5 days to complete one full cycle of phases. This is called a lunar month. During this time, the moon orbits Earth while Earth orbits the sun. Because of this constant motion, the amount of the moon's sunlit side visible from Earth changes a little bit each night. This slow, steady shift is what creates the familiar pattern of moon phases. It's a cosmic dance that repeats itself every month, whether we're paying attention or not. The cycle begins with the new moon. At this point, the moon is positioned between Earth and the sun. The sunlit side of the moon is facing away from us. From Earth, the moon is nearly invisible. It's still there, but we're looking at the dark side. This is why you won't see the moon in the night sky during a new moon, even though it's technically present. This phase can feel like the moon has vanished, but it's really just hiding in plain sight. After the new moon, a thin slice of sunlight begins to appear on the moon's edge. This is called a waxing crescent. Waxing simply means the visible portion is growing. Each night the crescent becomes slightly thicker as more of the sunlit side turns toward Earth. This is when people often describe the moon as looking like a glowing fingernail clipping in the sky. It's one of the most delicate and beautiful phases to observe. Next comes the first quarter moon. Despite the name, this is when half of the moon's face is illuminated. The moon has completed about 1/4 of its orbit around Earth. The sun is now lighting up exactly half of the side we can see. This is why the moon looks like a perfect half circle. The line between light and dark is called the terminator, and it marks where day meets night on the moon's surface. After the first quarter, the moon enters the waxing gibbous phase. Gibbous means more than half, but not full. At this point, most of the moon's face is illuminated. Each night, it looks fuller and brighter, building anticipation for the full moon. This phase is often overlooked, but it's when shadows on the moon's surface can be especially dramatic, revealing craters and mountains in stunning detail. The full moon happens when Earth is positioned between the sun and the moon. The entire face of the moon that we can see is fully illuminated. This is when the moon appears as a bright, round disk in the sky. It rises around sunset and sets around sunrise, staying visible all night long. The full moon often feels special because it's so bright and visually striking. But scientifically, it's just another step in the ongoing cycle. After the full moon, the visible light begins to shrink. This phase is called waning gibbous. Waning means decreasing. The moon is still mostly lit, but each night, a little more darkness creeps in. The moon rises later and later in the night as the cycle continues. This is the start of the moon's gradual return to invisibility. Next comes the last quarter moon, where once again, half of the moon's face is visible, but it's the opposite half compared to the first quarter. The moon has now completed about 3/4 of its orbit around Earth. The light is shrinking, and the illuminated portion is now on the opposite side. This phase often appears in the early morning sky, making it a favorite for early risers. The final phase is the waning crescent. Just a thin curve of light remains before the moon returns to the new moon phase. Each night the crescent becomes thinner until it disappears again. The cycle is then ready to start over. This quiet phase is like the moon taking a breath before beginning its monthly journey all over again. Here's another moon mystery. We always see the same side of the moon from Earth. This happens because the moon is tidally locked. That means the moon rotates on its axis at the same rate that it orbits Earth. One rotation equals one orbit. The result is that the same face is always pointed toward us. The so-called dark side of the moon isn't always dark. It just happens to be the side we don't see from Earth. Sometimes the moon looks unusually large near the horizon. This is called the moon illusion. It's a trick your brain plays when comparing the moon to buildings, trees, or the horizon. The moon can also appear slightly bigger or smaller depending on its distance from Earth. Its orbit is slightly elliptical, meaning sometimes it's closer, perigee, and sometimes farther away, apogee. But the phase itself isn't affected by distance, only by the angle of sunlight. Occasionally, the normal moon cycle lines up perfectly with Earth and the Sun, causing an eclipse. A lunar eclipse happens when Earth's shadow falls on the moon during a full moon. A solar eclipse happens when the moon blocks the sun during a new moon. These events don't change the moon's phases, but they can temporarily darken or redden the moon, adding another layer of mystery to its appearance. Long before modern science, people carefully tracked the moon's phases. The moon was used to measure time, plan crops, and create early calendars. Many words in our language, like month, come from the moon's cycle. The moon wasn't just something to look at. It was a natural clock in the sky. Even today, lunar cycles still influence cultural traditions, holidays, and timekeeping systems around the world. The moon doesn't change shape. It changes how it's lit. What looks like a shifting moon is really a beautiful result of motion, light, and perspective. Every phase you see is a snapshot of where the moon is in its orbit around Earth. It's a reminder that even something that feels familiar is part of a much bigger cosmic system. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.